So how many investor updates are you sending out? Like how many investors are you updating?
Um, Around five-ish,
Five. Okay, that's not bad.
and yeah, some of them are actually like one of them is including a billionaire who I called email.
So how do you make sure that they're really interested, right? Because a lot of investors they never tell you no, right? They say
Yeah,
give me updates. They have no intent to invest, right? How do you make sure that you send in investor updates or dealing with people who actually like want to do business with you versus someone just saying, send me updates because they don't want to be tell you no just in case something happens.
yeah. I think I think my I'll give my answer, but I do think there's a lot of things I'm still figuring everything out, and I feel there's a lot of things that I don't know on that side, because that comes with experience. But I do believe being radically genuine, like being like from listening to different podcasts, from talking, asking mentors, like being create like insanely genuine about where you're at and what kind of challenge you are struggling with, what kind of problems you are solving, but also leaning back to the vision, the purpose. I think what people don't realize is every cold email don't make it about me, but make it about the other people. There's this rule of thumb I learned I really like is your cold email should have more the pronoun of you than the pronoun of I or me, and that's a powerful rule I stand for. Is I really to make sure they understand that I want them to be this part journey because of their vision of education.
So you're 18, you're pretty young. How do you make sure that people in this game, like 10, 20 years, don't take advantage of your inexperience, so to speak, right? How do you protect yourself against that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's kind of really really critical thinking. And I mean, I'm probably doing like a worse job than like a 30 years old, 40 years old experienced founder. But I do think I have, I can. That's kind of the point. I can tolerate the risk. I just need to make sure what's the worst thing that can happen, and make sure that I can tolerate the risk and just go do it. Because while I'm young, I can afford making mistakes, but I can't afford to being scared of making mistakes and just stop or not doing anything. Because I think in this age, really the biggest risk one can take is to not take any risk.
Yeah. So you already talked about your company some, but can you go into more detail, like why you started the company, what you focus on now, what your like big dream vision is for Ponder moving forward?
Yeah. Start of it is I want um actually I had this some sort of idea of starting an ed tech couple years back, like when I was 16, when I was starting out reaching out to people, and I actually reached out to a lot of like ed tech founders and investors, and they all told me one thing. They all told me, no, Zion, don't start an ed tech startup. And I asked them why. They told me, it's a hard space. It's you're not going to make a profit, and none of the tech they invested in have make a return yet. And also the thing I'm talking about education is more about revolution, is more about like a social reform than like a successful startup idea.